Hello, everyone. Our project is all about video games and more specifically, what makes players stay with a game and what factors influence how they feel about it. So, we wanted to know two main things. Is user retention higher with free to play games? And do people rate paid games more positively? These questions are important not just because we were interested in them, but also because the video game industry is a growing and evolving industry. And today, the industry has been increasingly reliant on microtransactions, in game purchases mainly within free to play video games. They are most common in free games, but can frustrate players, especially when you feel the need to pay to win or even play. So we made two hypotheses. So the first one is free games keep players longer because they're easier to access, and paid games get better reviews because they don't rely on constant in-game purchases. To investigate these, we used two big datasets from Steam, one of the largest platforms for video games. So this first dataset had around 13,000 games, and this included information like playtime and whether the game was free or played. And the second one, scrolling down here, has a data about on 500 games, and this gave us deeper insight into player behavior and user reviews. The first dataset was sourced from Kaggle, which directly scraped the information from Steam previously. The second dataset was gathered through an API, and this grabbed the top 500 played games of the last 2 weeks. These datasets allowed us to calculate variables like player retention rate and also sentiment rate, which is essentially how many good reviews a game has compared to bad ones. Sentiment rate is something we calculated by dividing a game's average player base in the last 2 weeks by the game's average player base of all time. So, what exactly did we find? So, we ran statistical tests to compare free versus paid Steam games in order to properly determine if free or paid Steam game retention rates are statistically better than the others. So, we had to do a Welch's t-test. So, here are our charts. So, here's average sentiment ratio, the distribution of free versus paid, and here's median sentiment ratio, and this is how the user recommendations are laid out. So in the first player dataset, player retention, there was no statistically significant difference detected after using the test, and the second dataset was used to create various visualizations based on the word sentiment score analysis that was on reviews of paid and free Steam games. So we can see that paid games had a much higher average and median sentiment score, as you can see here. This implies that people who review Steam games are more likely to use positive words to describe paid games. Now let's address some ethics and privacy concerns in our analysis. So Steam Spy data is limited to users with public profiles, which introduces some sampling bias and tends to overrepresent popular AAA titles. Scraped recent Steam reviews come with selection bias, weird cultural skew, and lack of demographic context because of where Steam is based. Sentiment analysis is also complicated by sarcasm, irony, and humor. To ensure ethical data use, we will anonymize all data and limit usage to academic purposes only, recognizing that public availability does not mean informed consent. Our mitigation strategies include auditing datasets for genre and ownership imbalance, applying descriptive statistics, detecting outliers, filtering low quality text. Post analysis, we clarify any findings with disclaimers on geographic and demographic limitations. Finally, we consider review bombing in early reviews. To reduce distortion, we emphasize total review counts over short-term spikes and recognize that early reviews may not reflect real gameplay experience. So, what are some key takeaways? We found that although free-to-play games attract more players, they often receive more negative sentiment, likely due to pay-to-win mechanics. In contrast, paid games, despite lower player counts, tend to receive better reviews. By analyzing median sentiment ratios, we confirmed that paid games have higher sentiment. This suggests that while free games provide broader access, their monetization strategies can backfire. Paid games offer fewer in-game purchases, which may lead to more consistent satisfaction. Ultimately, monetization must be fair and transparent to foster player trust and long-term community engagement. And here are our team contributions.